All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I am Saira Mujtaba and with me is Subhadra Ramachandran. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate National Conference of Environment Ministers at Ekta Nagar in Gujarat this morning. Union Home Minister Amit Shah to be on a 2-day visit to Bihar beginning today. India calls for immediate cessation of hostilities in Ukraine and urged warring nations to return to dialogue and diplomacy. Defence Ministry signs contract worth 1,700 crore rupees to acquire additional BrahMos missiles for frontline warships. RBI cancels license of Maharashtra-Based Lakshmi Cooperative Bank. Depositors can claim up to 5 lakh rupees. Heavy rains lashed Delhi NCR, Noida schools to remain closed today for classes 1 to 8. Collection of selected speeches of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to be released at Akashvani Bhavan in New Delhi today. Japan to lift COVID-19 restrictions on foreign tourists from October 11. And in cricket, second T20 international between India and Australia will be played in Nagpur this evening. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the National Conference of Environment Ministers in Ekta Nagar, Gujarat at 10:30 a.m. today via video conferencing. He will also address the gathering on the occasion. Taking forward the spirit of cooperative federalism, the conference is being convened to create further synergy amongst the central and state governments in formulating better policies on issues such as elimination of plastic pollution through a multi-pronged approach, state action plans to effectively combat climate change with focus on life, that is lifestyle for environment. It will also focus on increasing the forest cover with special emphasis on restoration of degraded land and wildlife conservation. The 2-day conference being organized today and tomorrow will have 6 thematic sessions with topics focusing on life, combating climate change, updating state action plans on climate change for mitigation of emissions and adaptation to climate impacts, Parivesh, single window system for integrated green clearances, forestry management, prevention and control of pollution, wildlife management, plastics and waste management. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has said the trajectory of the Ukraine conflict is a matter of profound concern for the entire international community. Speaking at the UNSC briefing on Ukraine, Dr. Jaishankar said the outlook appears truly disturbing.
The nuclear issue is a particular anxiety. In a globalized world, the impact of the conflict is being felt even in distant regions. We have all experienced its consequences in terms of surging costs and actual shortages of food grains, fertilizers and fuel.
The minister said India strongly reiterates the need for an immediate cessation of all hostilities and return to dialogue and diplomacy. He said that this cannot be an era of war. Dr. Jaishankar stressed that the fight against impunity is critical to the larger pursuit of securing peace and justice. He stated that the Security Council must send an unambiguous and unequivocal message on this count. He made a strong point that politics should never provide cover to evade accountability.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Japan on the 27th of this month to attend the funeral of former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe in Tokyo. Briefing media in New Delhi, External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said that Mr. Modi will also meet his Japanese counterpart Fumio Kishida during the visit. Replying to a media query, Mr. Bagchi urged Indian nationals to exercise caution before taking up job offers in Thailand. He said they are aware of IT companies recruiting Indian workers on the pretext of employment opportunities in Thailand, who are then taken illegally to Myanmar. He said that due to the efforts of Indian missions in Thailand and Myanmar, rescue of some of the victims are being facilitated. On Khalistan referendum in Canada, the spokesperson said, termed it as a farcical exercise that was held by extremist and radical elements in Canada.
Basically, we would term it as a farcical exercise. The farcical exercise was held by the extremist and radical elements supporting the so-called Khalistan referendum in Canada and elsewhere, I think. The matter has been taken up with the Canadian authorities through diplomatic channels. The government of Canada has reiterated that they respect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of India and they will not recognize the so-called referendum which is taking place in Canada. However, we find it deeply objectionable that politically motivated exercises by extremist elements are allowed to take place in a friendly country. You are all aware of the history of violence in this regard, and the Government of India will continue to press the Government of Canada on this matter.
Union Home Minister Amit Shah will be on a 2-day visit to Bihar beginning today. Mr. Shah will go to Purnia and Kishanganj to participate in various programs. This will be the first visit of Mr. Shah to Bihar after Chief Minister Nitish Kumar led Janata Dal United broke ties with BJP. Union Home Minister will address Jan Bhavna rally at Rangbhumi Maidan in Purnia today. Bihar BJP President Sanjay Jaiswal said the visit of Amit Shah is significant amid changed political scenario in the state.
इस बार पूर्णिया में हो रहा है, खास जरूर है क्योंकि यहाँ पर इस इलाके में बहुत तरह के चैलेंजेस भी हैं। सभी में इतना उत्साह है, प्रत्येक व्यक्ति में है कि माननीय गृह मंत्री जी का इस इलाके में आगमन और इस इलाके के लोगों से सीधे वार्तालाप, यह अपने आप में बहुत बड़ी बात है और इस इलाके के जो भी समस्याएं हैं, जो चैलेंजेस हैं, माननीय गृह मंत्री जी उसका फर्स्ट हैंड एक्सपीरियंस भी लेंगे। हम तो 36 सीट पर कम से कम जीतेंगे, लेकिन जदयू का खाता बिहार में खुलेगा कि नहीं, इसमें भी उनकी शंका है।
After addressing a public meeting, Mr. Shah will hold a meeting with BJP office bearers in Kishanganj.
Providing further impetus to Atmanirbharta in defence production, the Ministry of Defence has signed a contract with BrahMos Aerospace Private Limited (BAPL) for acquisition of additional dual-role capable surface-to-surface BrahMos missiles at an overall approximate cost of 1,700 crore rupees under Buy Indian category. Induction of these dual-role capable missiles is going to significantly enhance the operational capability of Indian Navy fleet assets. Minister of Communications and Electronics and Information Technology Ashwini Vaishnav has said Prime Minister Narendra Modi will launch the 5G service in the country in the first week of October. Speaking at the Global FinTech Festival 2022 in Mumbai, Mr. Vaishnav said within 2 years, the government will be able to take the 5G service to a large part of the country. Emphasizing that every village deserves digital services, the minister said $30 billion would be spent on reaching out to the villages and hamlets for last-mile connectivity.
In Morning Matters, now let us listen to a discussion on production-linked incentive scheme for Atmanirbhar Bharat. The participants are Siddharth, economic analyst, and Arjun J. Chaudhary.
In today's program, we will discuss about how the central government has cleared schemes to boost semiconductor production and solar energy generation. And towards this, the center decided to also provide fiscal support. 50% of the project cost for setting up semiconductor fabs or fabrication plants. How important these two schemes are to boost production for both semiconductors and solar energy.
If we can just go back a little, 2020 when the COVID pandemic happened, and this whole process of production-linked incentives was conceived around that time, given the dependence for certain products on China, especially when it came to things like pharmaceutical ingredients and, electronics. These were items where the supply chain was disrupted and there was over-reliance on imports from a particular country. So the government thought of first set of production-linked incentive schemes, which was for, drug intermediaries and pharmaceutical ingredients, as well as for large-scale electronic manufacturing and medical devices. And subsequently, as part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat push that was announced by the Prime Minister, the scope was expanded to include other sectors such as solar equipment, automobiles and auto components, textiles, specialty steel, and those kind of products, with drones also getting added to it. So all in all, the government has so far announced PLI schemes for 14 sectors with an outlay of 1.97 lakh crore. And the expectation is that, this will result in large-scale employment generation, say about 60 lakh new jobs during the next 5 years. And given this overall background, there were two important decisions by the Union Cabinet. One was regarding the whole semiconductor and display manufacturing ecosystem, where the incentive under the 76,000 crore scheme, which is around $10 billion, was made uniform for all types of semiconductors at 50%. There were certain segments where the incentive was limited 30%. Now it has been expanded to cover all the segments where 50% incentive will be given. Apart from that, the other decision was on the solar system, basically around the modules, and the idea is to get companies both domestic and overseas into the ecosystem with an outlay of about 19,500 crores and really scale up the capacity, which was around 18 gigawatts or so manufacturing capacity, basically 3 gigawatt for solar cells and 15 gigawatt for modules. And now this capacity is proposed to be enhanced by creating additional domestic solar equipment manufacturing capability of 25 gigawatts for solar cells and modules and 10 gigawatt for wafers. So these are two schemes that were cleared by the cabinet.
So this cabinet meeting chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi has two challenges. One is the technology side and the other is providing financial aid and support. So when we talk about the financial side of it, when you have fiscal support of 50% or 30% support in select items that are manufactured under this PLI scheme, what is the type of package of securities or the loan agreement that is being provided by the state?
The idea is to provide incentive on incremental production. So this is production linked incentive. So you commit, you bid out these contracts, and people who invest a certain amount and keep adding to the production according to the targets laid down for 5 years, they would be eligible for these benefits. So as we discussed, in case of the semiconductor segment, the package is about 76,000 crores and the government is hoping that leverage it to get investments of almost 2 lakh crores. There has been a lot of interest in this space given that there is a rush for getting chip manufacturing facilities and chip packaging facilities globally. So India is competing with the US and Europe to attract investments.
Take the example of the United States of America to invite investment. What are the states in India doing? Because when you set up a fab unit for semiconductors, fabrication plant, they are citing the cost at $10 billion capital expenditure for that kind of an establishment. What about the technical side?
The industry is evolving in India. We don't really have a manufacturing base in India at the moment. So what we are looking at is to first get investors. And it's a very, very competitive industry where even a global giant like Intel has not yet beaten the 10 nanometer barrier, while TSMC, which is the semiconductor manufacturing company in Taiwan, and Samsung produce about chips which are 3 nanometers. And China is also just broken through about 7 nanometers. And IBM has announced plans for a 2 nanometer technology. So what we are probably going to get is the 2 nanometer or something, but it will be a beginning. And as the market develops, you would see better quality chips and products come out in the years ahead. I mean, it's just like mobile phones where you initially started with feature phones and then you moved to smartphones and now you have iPhones coming in and the latest version of iPhones being manufactured in India. So it's part of an evolution process where you start at a lower level in the manufacturing chain and then you scale up.
Well, Mr. Siddharth, thank you so much for being with us on how the center has cleared schemes to boost semiconductor production and manufacturing in India.
Thank you.
You are listening to a discussion on production-linked incentive scheme for Atmanirbhar Bharat. Union Minister Giriraj Singh has accused Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar and RJD Chief Lalu Yadav of patronizing Popular Front of India PFI as cultural organizations. Talking to reporters in Purnia, Giriraj Singh said Bihar has become a sleeper cell for terrorists and PFI wants to make Purnia its hub. On the nationwide NIA raids against PFI, he said that the law will take its own course.
जो इतना बड़ा कुकीर्त करता हो, फंड इकट्ठा करता है, भारत के खिलाफ आंदोलन करता है, भारत के जनमानस को भड़काता है, तो ऐसे संस्थानों पर अगर कार्रवाई हो रही है, दुर्भाग्य है जब फुलवारी शरीफ में PFI पर छापे पड़े तो जो पुलिस का वक्तव्य आया था वो निराशाजनक आया। उसे सांस्कृतिक संगठन बताने की कोशिश की गई। ये नीतीश बाबू, लालू यादव, ये लोग तुष्टीकरण की राजनीति करते हैं।
The National Investigation Agency yesterday conducted searches at premises linked to the Popular Front of India in several states. Official sources said over 100 PFI leaders and functionaries have been arrested in the raids.
The Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh RSS Chief Dr. Mohan Bhagwat yesterday visited a mosque and a madrasa in Delhi and held discussions with the Chief of the All India Imam Organization, Imam Umar Ahmad Ilyasi. The closed-door meeting lasted for more than an hour. Dr. Bhagwat was accompanied by senior RSS functionaries Krishna Gopal, Ram Lal and Indresh Kumar. RSS spokesperson Sunil Ambedkar said, the RSS Sarsang Chalak meets people from all walks of life, and yesterday's meeting was a part of a continuous dialogue process. In the last few days, Dr. Bhagwat has met several Muslim leaders and intellectuals.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate National Conference of Environment Ministers at Ekta Nagar in Gujarat this morning. Union Home Minister Amit Shah to be on a 2-day visit to Bihar beginning today. India calls for immediate cessation of hostilities in Ukraine and urged warring nations to return to dialogue and diplomacy. Defence Ministry signs contract worth 1,700 crore rupees to acquire additional BrahMos missiles for frontline warships. RBI cancels license of Maharashtra-Based Lakshmi Cooperative Bank. Depositors can claim up to 5 lakh rupees. Heavy rains lash Delhi NCR. Noida schools to remain closed today for classes 1 to 8. Collection of selected speeches of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to be released at Akashvani Bhavan in New Delhi today. Japan to lift COVID-19 restrictions on foreign tourists from October 11. And in cricket, second T20 international between India and Australia will be played in Nagpur this evening. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर
8700014242।
Welcome back. You're listening to Morning News. The Reserve Bank of India (RBI) has cancelled the license of Maharashtra-based Lakshmi Cooperative Bank, citing lack of adequate capital. Upon liquidation, every depositor would be entitled to receive a deposit insurance claim amount up to 5 lakh rupees. According to the RBI, the bank with its present financial position would be unable to pay its present depositors in full, and public interest would be adversely affected if the bank is allowed to carry on. The RBI said in a statement it cancelled the license of the bank as the lender does not have adequate capital and earning prospects, and the continuance of the bank is prejudicial to the interest of its depositors. A collection of selected speeches of Prime Minister Modi will be released today at Akashvani Bhavan in New Delhi. The book titled Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Prime Minister Narendra Modi Speaks, portrays the Prime Minister's vision of a new India. The book release will be graced by Governor of Kerala Arif Muhammad Khan, former Vice President of India M. Venkaiah Naidu, along with Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur. The book is a collection of 86 speeches of the Prime Minister delivered by him from May 2019 to May 2020. The book will be released in Hindi and English.
Over the past 75 years since independence, India's largest public service broadcaster, All India Radio, has been the proverbial storyteller for crores of people across the country. All India Radio celebrating 75 years of freedom with the series Azad Bharat Ki Baat, Akashvani Ke Saath. It showcases the journey of India since independence in various walks of life through the storytelling of All India Radio. In today's episode, we will bring you the story of initiatives which improve ease of living in the country.
Ease of living. The new India is redefining ease of living in tune with the rising aspirations. Since 2014, the government has put significant emphasis on improving both ease of living and ease of doing business. New generation infrastructure is making life comfortable. From 2002 to 2014, metro construction was 20 kilometers per year. From 2014 to 2022, metro construction has gone up to 63 kilometers per year. Digital payment has made day-to-day life much easier. Payment apps like Bheem have given benefits to small shopkeepers. Under Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation, or AMRUT, 118 lakh households have water tap connections and 97 lakh households have sewer connections or septage coverage. Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana has brought in big relief to people. More than 3.26 crore people have been treated for free under the scheme so far. Affordable medicines in more than 8,700 Jan Aushadhi Kendras have been giving people savings of over 50 to 90%. Pahal scheme has removed leakages and middlemen in LPG connections. There are over 29 crore beneficiaries in the scheme. Governance reforms introduced by Prime Minister Narendra Modi during the last 8 years are aimed at achieving ease of living for the common man and level playing field for the aspirational youth.
सरकार ने देश के सामान्य नागरिक की जिंदगी में होने वाली मुश्किलों को कम करने के लिए रिफॉर्म का रास्ता चुना है। देश में टैक्स भरने की प्रक्रिया में बहुत सुधार आया है। इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न के लिए अब महीनों इंतजार नहीं करना पड़ा। प्रोविडेंट फंड रजिस्ट्रेशन और पीएफ का पैसा निकालने के लिए पहले आपको दफ्तरों के चक्कर लगाने पड़ते थे, अब सब कुछ ऑनलाइन हो गया है। बिजली कनेक्शन लेना आसान हुआ है, रेलवे रिजर्वेशन कराना आसान हुआ है। जो पासपोर्ट पहले महीनों में मिलता था, अब एक हफ्ते के भीतर मिल जाता है। ये ईज ऑफ लिविंग लाइफ नहीं है तो क्या है?
In May 2014, Prime Minister Modi took the path-breaking decision of abolition of attestation of certificates by gazetted officers, instead promoting self-attestation, thus reposing faith in youth of India. More than 25,000 compliances have been reduced by the centre so far in its bid to promote ease of living and ease of doing business. To make it easier for borrowers, the government developed a platform in 2018 that offered a variety of credit products, including MSME, home, auto and personal loans. Various state-owned banks can now approve loans for MSMEs and other borrowers in principle in 59 minutes compared to the previous turnaround time of 20 to 25 days. To enhance ease of living of pensioners and family pensioners, the government has taken a number of welfare measures in pension policy as well as in digitization of pension-related processes. Digital life certificate and face authentication technology would be a game changer for pensioners and banks in submission of life certificates. Minimum government, maximum governance means more involvement of citizens, innovation, use of latest techniques and transparency. Focus is on simplicity of processes and timely delivery of services. Presenting the Union Budget 2022-23 in Parliament on the 1st of February 2022, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said the new phase of ease of living will be guided by active involvement of the states, digitization of manual processes and integration of the central and state level systems through IT bridges. This will help in creating a single point access for all citizen-centric services and bring about standardization and removal of overlapping compliances.
This government aims to bring greater ease of living in the lives of its citizens. Digital payments are gaining acceptance everywhere, including by the government. Use of technology is an effective way to ensure this. Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Man Dhan was launched on 5th March 2019. The scheme aims at providing 3,000 rupees per month as pension on attaining the age of 60 crores of workers in unorganized and informal sectors for good quality of life and ease of living, maintaining a cleaner environment and ensuring sustainable energy use in absolutely vital.
Heavy rains lashed Delhi NCR, disrupting normal life in the region. Delhi NCR witnessed waterlogging in numerous areas, leading to long traffic snarls as police struggle to decongest roads. IMD has issued a yellow alert in the national capital for today. In view of the inclement weather, Noida schools will remain closed for today for students of classes 1 to 8. As for Delhi's school holiday, no official announcement has been made. However, many private schools in Delhi, Gurgaon and Faridabad would remain closed. In Uttar Pradesh, heavy rain has disrupted normal life and claimed many lives in western part of the state during the past 24 hours. Schools and colleges till 12 are closed in many districts today. Eastern part of the state is also reeling under the flood fury, and Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath will conduct aerial survey of the flood-affected areas. We have more from our correspondent.
Western part of Uttar Pradesh is witnessing heavy rain from last 2 days. Normal life was thrown out of gear in many districts of this region. 3 people, including a 3-year-old child, died in an incident of wall collapse in Firozabad district yesterday. Day before yesterday, rain claimed 7 lives in Etawah district. Many other people have lost their lives in rain-related accidents. In view of the bad weather, schools in several districts are closed today. On the other hand, many districts in eastern part of the state, which are close to Saryu River, are reeling under flood fury. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath will conduct aerial survey of the flood-affected districts. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
Japan has announced that it will lift tough COVID restrictions on foreign tourists, reopening the borders after 2.5 years. Speaking at the New York Stock Exchange, Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said the pandemic had interrupted the free flow of people, goods and capital. He said Japan will relax border control measures and resume visa-free travel and individual travel from October 11. For the first time in about 2.5 years, Japan sets out border rules which are close to pre-pandemic norms. In an effort to control the spread of COVID-19, Japan currently only allows package tours and requires visas for all visitors along with a cap of 50,000 on daily arrivals. In Iran, anti-hijab protests have reached 80 other cities and towns besides capital Tehran following the custodial death of a 22-year-old woman, Mahsa Amini, after being detained by the morality police. Mahsa Amini, a Kurdish woman from the northwestern city of Saqqez, died in hospital in Tehran on Friday following 3 days in a coma. A human rights group said at least 31 civilians had been killed, while state television put the death toll at 17. Mahsa Amini was visiting the capital on the 13th of September when she was arrested by the morality police officers who accused her of violating the law requiring women to cover their hair with a hijab or headscarf.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has expressed concerns over the situation of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in conflict-ravaged Ukraine and said that any damage to nuclear infrastructure could have terrible consequences for the people in the area and beyond. Briefing meeting of the 15-member Security Council, the UN Secretary General said the situation at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant remains a cause of great concern. The UN Secretary General highlighted the need to end the war, saying that it was the only way to end the suffering in Ukraine.
In cricket, the second T20 international match between India and Australia will be played at the Vidarbha Cricket Association Stadium in Nagpur today. The match will start at 7 p.m. in the evening. Australia have gained a 1-0 lead in the 3-match series with a win on Tuesday. Australia will be keen to take an unassailable 2-0 lead by winning the second T20 international in Nagpur. On the other hand, India will look forward to levelling the series.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. PM Modi may visit UK as both sides push for FTA before Diwali, writes Hindustan Times. The Tribune headlines, Biden backs India for permanent UN SEC, transformation overdue, says EAM. Papers have also noticed raids by the NIA and ED on the offices of Popular Front of India in 93 locations. The Pioneer notes, NIA, ED swoop on 93 PFI spots in 15 states. The Asian Age reports over 100 PFI activists held in raids by NIA, ED in 15 states. The Statesman writes, India objects to Khalistan referendum in Canada. Ahead of Pujo, the Indian Express headlines, organizers dock over corruption cases, many high-profile Durga Pujas in Kolkata turn low-key. And finally, with the festive season round the corner, the Economic Times informs, Diwali sets in early for malls, apparel and lifestyle retailers.
And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate National Conference of Environment Ministers at Ekta Nagar in Gujarat this morning. Union Home Minister Amit Shah to be on a 2-day visit to Bihar beginning today. India calls for immediate cessation of hostilities in Ukraine and urged warring nations to return to dialogue and diplomacy. Defence Ministry signs contract worth 1,700 crore rupees to acquire additional BrahMos missiles for frontline warships. RBI cancels license of Maharashtra-Based Lakshmi Cooperative Bank. Depositors can claim up to 5 lakh rupees. Heavy rains lashed Delhi NCR Noida schools to remain closed today for classes 1 to 8. Collection of selected speeches of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to be released at Akashvani Bhavan in New Delhi today. Japan to lift COVID-19 restrictions on foreign tourists from October 11. And in cricket, second T20 international between India and Australia will be played in Nagpur this evening. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a great day.